Good morning, everybody. It is Christina, and we are going to finish up the William Rail video here for a minute. I have a pizza on the way for the kids, and so I'm only going to be here for a few minutes, and I will pause and come back. But yeah, today, so we're going to finish up the Twitch video with William Rail and the things that he's put on um, Twitch regarding the case. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to quick transition. And we're going to go ahead and listen to the remaining part of the case. So, all right, let's continue.
Get out of the way. Well, awesome. But those that didn't felt like shit, didn't it? You just saw it coming, like a freight train. That's the thing. That's what we have to be looking at here. I think that's what he was seeing. I think he saw it coming, but he was just like, it's not going to happen. I'm going to be able to go and stop this, right? I think that's what happened. That's my theory on this. David knew something was up.
Okay, so
Thing is, like I said,
we have a man who literally had PTSD. He openly spoke about it. He openly spoke about his drug use as well. And then we have people like this who are trying to say, oh, he knew something was up. He knew something was going on. He knew people was watching him, blah, blah, blah. So it goes along the lines of kind of what Nerve Gorilla was saying yesterday in the live video about, or in the discussion that me and Louise had with him regarding, people wanting something to be odd and something to be off about this, but in reality, it is what it is. I mean, you know, you can't credit him just because he was military, because there's a lot of people that were in the military that have PTSD and a lot of mental health issues. And then, you know, his own feelings and his own words were totally discredited out of what he said. And it's people like this that continue to discredit his own words. And so it's pretty sad. It's pretty pathetic. I mean, the other live that I did about this case with the video here, he said, even he thought Kamel was suspicious, and that never even came into anywhere in the journals or anything else. Kamel herself did have issues because she was the only one who was working and paying the bills, and she questioned the marriage because, you got David who's at home and trying to fulfill his dream, and she's the main breadwinner. She's the one asking questions, not David. So
we have to look at this as his rationality. Look how rational he is here. I need to kick these people out. They're not good for me. They're not good for,
and the problem is he says it's everyone else. It's the problem is with everyone else. The problem isn't with David, so he says, but the problem is with everyone else. And that kind of shows like the narcissistic traits that I had recently talked about as well. When you deflect and you claim that everyone else is the problem, but not you. And that is visible in this one post here.
My family. But he's looking first and foremost up for himself. Okay. Let's continue. Up until January 1st, or July 1st. Okay. July 1st, day one journal entry. David reviewed the movie option contract with his lawyer during the week. Presumably Adam Galeason from Minneapolis law firm Lehman Abdo. Okay. Reviewed.
So that contract is the contract that David's lawyer drew up for the mics. I'm assuming it's not something that the mics drew up and sent to him. This is something that David's lawyer put together, and they were going to give to whoever decided to take on this movie.
The option contract. So what's going on here? Well, that's when we have to get into. They're starting to go and kick Danny August Mason out. They're trying to go and get. They had to get it worded. Now the thing is, when it comes down to it,
So basically, contracts. This is anyone who has any kind of movie script or any kind of copyright or anything like that. You usually have a lawyer, and you usually have a contract with those people that you're working with. So that way, the producers or whoever it is that helps on this movie doesn't take off and run off with your stuff. It's just common practice. It's nothing out of the ordinary.
making a contract, can it go just be just done? No, I mean I would assume his lawyer would be like, okay, we're gonna take some time. Probably gonna take us at least a few weeks to a month or so. We'll get this going. We'll get this going, right? That's what happened, I think. I think David tried to keep things cordial between him and Danny August Mason.
Again, as I spoke before, you're not looking at, hey, quit yelling, please. You're not looking at both sides of this. Like, you're one sided nonsense. David didn't do this alone, okay? He had the project in his head, but you have several other people who were acquaintances and friends of his that helped with this a lot, that put their life, their effort, their time into David's dream. And the problem here is David, he wants to just kick everybody to the curb. So if you would agree that would be right on his part, I'm sorry, but I don't agree. I think it's selfish. I think it's very selfish of what he did, and it just kind of shows his character and how he was. That's basically what I see. I don't see any foul play on anyone else's part. I see a lot of selfishness and him wanting everything for himself. And I don't see that that would give anyone motive to go and kill David and his entire family. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a motive. It's not a motive. Like, not only you're not even taking into account the actual crime scene itself, you're sitting here blaming Danny August Mason for this, but do you even have any proof or any evidence whatsoever that puts him at the crime scene? Like, do you have any type of DNA or anything like that that would even put him there? You don't, because there's not.
Let's continue on. Journals persist on.
I'll be right back. I have a pizza. Hold on. All right, I'm back. Sorry, I had to plate out some pizza for the kids.
Then we get to see that he's having some problems with his family. Something Kay and I talked about. We share a sharp disinterest in our families. Maybe a dull apathy is more accurate, but whatever it is, we both have it. I have thoughts on this, but maybe for another time. Another time. Okay. Keep going. They pay for Brittany to school. And you can see this is we got to see already the contract. It's right here. July 1st.
You're missing so much in this timeline, it's not even funny. Like, so much.
Just before August. I think that's what happened with him and Danny August Mason. Contract. Slapped him in the face. He was like, I can't do that. There's probably talks about it. David just like, no, can't do it, man. But we'll talk about it, right? That's probably what he said. Probably making things cordial. Once again, got to look at this part here. They're really they're nice people, really good people, but they aren't helping you. Look up a little farther. What do you have to say about them? Danny and Joe are sucking me dry. There ain't never enough.
The thing is, Danny August Mason was doing stuff way before David. And still doing stuff, by the way. So, and actually, I believe he was doing stuff when he was working with David, too. So, this is just David talking shit to people.
I can throw at these people that they won't demand more. Like everyone, the whole state is a fat charity case I have to sustain forever because they all see my promise, energy, direction, and drive. And just to sum it up,
What were they taking from him? Because he didn't work. So I'm just asking you, like, what were these people taking from David? Can you answer that?
and Rand. And the few he's talking about here, the few that make contact, what do? They hover. That's who he's talking about here. Danny and Joe. Sean Wright. Adam Shambor.
I can almost guarantee you would not open your mouth in front of any of these people's faces, dude. Guarantee it.
This is who he's talking about. This is, like I said, I'm not going to be able to ever not keep throwing this out there.
This is called deflecting. Everybody except for David is the problem. But David wasn't working. David didn't have any money coming in for himself. So you can throw it out there all you want, but it's him deflecting and putting his anger on all these other people because they have stuff going and he didn't. And that's the thing. He didn't have a thing going for himself other than like some online stuff he was doing to make money. That was it. But he didn't have a job. And so he's putting his anger to everyone else who actually had a life and had things going for themselves. So you have to look at the whole case. The whole case.
Showing the importance this timeline has on this case.
None.
Wait till you see the finances. Once that's thrown in here. Wait till you get to see the rest of the phone records thrown, all the phone records thrown in here. Wait till you get to see that. That's the part that gets really interesting.
So
just
why
showing
don't you
little,
give these people
blips
who,
of this is what it.
why don't you give the people who watch your videos the links to actually investigate this stuff themselves? So they don't have to look at bits and pieces that you put out, but they can actually go and look at the whole thing.
Kind of sounds like this is what it kind of looks like, and what it matches up with. It's like, what the hell? Rationality. Police didn't look at it that way.
Narcissism. That's what it looks like to me.
This is called doing their job for them. The right way.
Oh, God.
What did they do? They did. We got the.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to eat and do this at the same time, but dude, you are not FBI. You are not the police. What does this have to do with the immediate crime scene? Phone calls of normal. A journal. What does this have to do with the crime scene? This this entire case lasted a year. It was investigated for a year, not the 2 days that you claimed it was investigated for. So you're obviously not doing too good of a job if you're claiming that this case was only investigated for 2 days, because it wasn't. It was investigated for an entire year. People were talked to, interviews were taken, like people's lives were looked into. You think the FBI and Apple Valley didn't look into this stuff? But they didn't find it. There's nothing there. What does this have to do with the immediate scene, the immediate crime scene? Nothing. Does it change who pulled the trigger and who the victims were? No, not at all. It's still the same, and the evidence showed that. So it's irrelevant. What he did in his life here, that's irrelevant.
The crime scene secured. Was it secured?
Yes, it was.
Oh, we got the medical examiner there. They took the bodies. Look what they missed. Did they get all the skull fragments? No.
Uh, yes, they did. Yes, they did. What are you talking about? Did they get all the skull? They got everything that was at the scene.
I can almost guarantee you they didn't get them all.
Yes, they did. Prove it. Everything was right there on that rug, or in the dog's poop.
Well, but the dog. Did you even do anything on the dog? Nope.
Because doing anything with the dog is irrelevant. They looked at the dog poop. They had white and chalky dog poop that consistent with bone. I mean, come on. You have a dog in the house with 3 dead bodies. You think he's not going to scavenge them? Like, literally, guinea pigs will scavenge their owners. Look it up, dude. You're talking about you're this big investigator and you know all this shit, but you don't know anything. Go look it up. Go look it up. Cats have eaten their owners. Dogs. Guinea pigs. Come on, dude.
Nope. I don't want to hear that shit.
Oh, God.
You guys failed.
No, they didn't.
The Apple Valley Police Department failed
No, they didn't.
in this investigation.
Prove it.
And it
With
wasn't
evidence.
just small. It was just like, how do you fumble this much in a case? If you needed help, you should have asked outside sources, gotten the FBI involved if you really need that much help. Get, the state police. Get another police department or two involved. If you need that much help. Don't just fumble.
Where did they
That's what
fumble?
happened here. This is disgusting.
Prove it.
The timeline will be the thing that completely gets this case reopened. I can almost guarantee it. And believe me, I'm going to try and get it reopened.
Please do. And record
They
it.
can just use the time. That's all they really need is the timeline. Look, I've got everything compiled for you. Cross-reference everything.
And they're going to ask you, what does this stuff have to do with who pulled the trigger and who the victims were? prove that with the evidence that's in that house. The bullets, the gun, the bodies. Prove it. Prove that somebody else was in that house. Because Catherine's already sent all this bullshit over to Apple Valley, including her ridiculous multiple blunt force trauma crap. So, yeah, please make sure you post when you send this over to Apple Valley because I really want to see the outcome. Don't just disappear, but post it. Even if you get the answer that you don't want, because I'm going to tell you right now, nothing that you're doing is changing the outcome of this case. They investigated it for an entire year. Okay? There is no evidence that anyone else was in that house. There is no DNA that anyone else was in that house. So, until you can prove that, I think you're kind of shit out of luck, Mr. Braille.
Please do. Triple, quadruple check it. But quit dragging this man's name through the mud. He didn't do anything wrong. He was just trying to go and make a living for himself and his family.
Okay, no one is dragging his name through the mud. You guys are dragging his name through the mud by keeping this case, which was investigated by professionals for over a year, going. That's your problem. That's your problem.
He was trying to get away from all the bad people in his life. And all the people he felt were just mooching off him.
What were they mooching?
But who?
What were they mooching, William Braille? He wasn't working. What were they mooching?
Who did it? I've got some thoughts. I can't say it though.
God.
I cannot say it in live stream. But I do have thoughts. There are people I wish that would be investigated more because they lied, like Danny August Mason, Chris Peck, Mason Hendricks, Sean Wright.
Oh, I'm gonna send this clip to Sean. Yeah, I'm sure Sean would be more than happy to meet you. He's already asked to talk to Greg and Dan in person. So, like, seriously, William Rowe, please reach out to Sean Wright because I can almost guarantee that he doesn't have an issue talking face to face. So, yeah, and I can actually help you with that if you want. If you really want to talk to Sean, I'm sure that I can arrange that. I would love, and I'm pretty sure that some of the other people that you just claimed had something to do with this. I'm pretty sure that they would meet you too in person. I would, honestly, I would love. I would pay money, good money, and I would fly to Apple Valley myself just to see that interaction. Just to see it and record it and say, like, look, it happened. And so you can be made a fool of. Seriously. You're ridiculous. And here we go with this bullshit blame game again. That's just ridiculous. That's disgusting. And literally, you're like right here by the holidays, and here you are with your bullshit blame game. Dude, come on. Please reach out to Sean Wright. I can help you with that if you want. Because I would pay to fly anybody out there just to see that interaction. Seriously.
These guys need to be investigated.
You need to be investigated. And
even what some of these people were saying, well, we got the, I called him, his father. Get his phone records on this. Get his brother's phone records.
What does that have to do with the crime scene? What does it have to do with it? Where's the DNA evidence? We're talking about forensic evidence. We're not talking about your off the wall, here we go nitpicking in people's lives. Everybody has a past. Everybody has a life. Everybody has their opinions about their friends, Hell, I have a ton of friends that are now acquaintances that I've talked shit about behind their back or in a journal or whatever, and I'm sure they've done the same with me. So, trying to say because David said that these people were mooching, because David said that, you know, he wanted to get rid of Danny August Mason because David said, but you're not looking at the entire story. And that's what I said. If you really really want to have that conversation, William Rail, I'm sure that I could probably arrange it because if Sean was going to meet with Greg and Dan, I'm sure he wouldn't have a problem meeting up with you. And I again, I would love to pay to see that interaction. Like seriously, I would love to see it because I guarantee that you would not be talking the shit that you're talking sitting behind that computer desk, Mr. Rail. And it makes me sick. It really does. And I'm not taking up for these people. I don't know them. I don't know them personally. Never met them. But I do have them as friends on Facebook because I ran across this case and I've been talking about this case. And I do have a few of them as friends on Facebook. And, I've looked at their lives, and before, during, and after David was around, they've always had something going on in their life. Whether it was their wife, their kids, their movies, their music, their producing, whatever the case may be, they had stuff going on. And so it's not just like they were living off of David because they didn't have anything, dude. Like, that's the problem that you have. You're glorifying this type of behavior. You're glorifying this deflection and this narcissistic behavior because you are one. And the way you talk, you can tell that you're a pretty narcissistic when you think that you can get a case open because of some journal that they've already seen and because of phone records that they've already seen and investigated for a year. Like, that's not changing the immediate crime scene. You're not putting, there's no DNA of anyone in that house. You walk in a house with 3 foot of snow on the ground, there's going to be a snow mark somewhere, water marks from where you've stepped and then it's dried. I mean, there's going to be some type of DNA or footprints or something else in that house that has to do with someone else, and but there's nothing there. And so that's what you have to prove forensically. You have to prove that someone else was in that house that committed these crimes. Their DNA. You have to prove that someone else's DNA was in that house, and you can't do it because there was none. You have to prove someone other than David pulled that trigger, and you can't because there is no one else. No one else's DNA on the gun. No one else's DNA on the bullets, other than one that was found after the cleanup crew was there. You want to claim because a bullet was found a month later? Yeah, it was a foul-up. And it happens. It happens. Their crime scene was on the floor. 3 bodies decomposing, a dog running around, dog poop everywhere, a child laying here. I don't think their immediate concern was to look above their heads. They didn't come in the front door, they came in the back door. You can't claim that this bullet was fired a month later because the bullet was fired from David's gun and that was proven with ballistics. The literal gun was in evidence, locked away. And so you can't even prove that. And the bullet that was found in the ceiling had David's DNA on it, fired from David's gun. There's a picture when the bodies were there, and you can see the part in the ceiling. Did they miss it? They did, because it was in an angle. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't looking above their heads. People are human. I'm sure you make mistakes. You've actually made several mistakes, and I can show you one coming up here in a minute. I'm going to I'm going to put it up here in a minute to show you the mistake that you've made. So, everybody here that has anything to do with the injustice group or these conspiracy crap or blaming friends and family, they can't come with the evidence. This is what they come with: some ridiculous timeline of a journal that David wrote in. That's it. You don't have anybody else's life. You don't have anybody else's text messages. You don't have anybody else's journals. There's other journals that are in this case, but you don't have access to those. And I don't blame the family for not allowing access. I don't blame them. Because all you guys do is this nonsense here. Nitpick and nitpick at things that are irrelevant. You're not going to change who was in that house. You're not going to change who pulled the trigger and who the victims were. You're not going to change that. So
people they were like, oh no, we just talked to him. Get proof. Show proof. Because there is none. We got his phone records. We don't have any proof of that.
They don't need everybody's phone records. For what? For what? It shows on David's phone when those people called him and when he called them. What do they need everybody else's phone records for? For what? They're not suspects in a crime.
If there's proof, show it. As if you can't, that's too damn bad. It didn't happen. That's how this system works.
No, sorry. Those other people are not suspects in a crime, okay? There's no proof that they were there at the time that it happened. There's no DNA evidence or anything that proves that they were there at the time. And so there's no reason for them to be investigated if they are not suspects in a crime. William Rail, do you know how the system works at all? Like, just curious, since you're so smart and you're so, just awesome. Do you know how the system works? There's no reason for people to nitpick in other people's lives when they're not a suspect in a crime. Prove that they were there. That's the problem that you have. You can't prove that. With the evidence, prove that they were there. Prove it.
Works. You don't cough up the evidence. It didn't happen. It just didn't. I'm sorry.
Because William Royal said it didn't happen.
Because something, well...
William Royal said it didn't happen, so it didn't happen. God, what an idiot. Like, go read the evidence, please. Because you obviously haven't. You haven't. Not at all.
Well, we don't have full proof of this, but speculation. Maybe the guy really did do something. But if you don't have proof, did he really do it? Under a court of law, no, he did not. He's innocent. Because you were innocent until proven guilty here.
Yes, and he was proven guilty because it was his gun. He was the last one to pull the trigger on himself.
Is he on trial? No. But his name is being dragged through the mud. And what does he talk about in his scripts? Something worse than death.
A script is a movie, dude. David even played y'all as fools on that one. He even said he had this idea in his head and he'll put it there and people will pay him and give him money. Oh my God.
That's it. You're erased from history. Everybody's part of history to some degree. They're dragging his name through the mud.
Because he killed his wife and his innocent child. And no one's dragging his name through the mud. We're just tired of you and everybody else dragging people that are alive and had nothing to do with this. We're tired of you dragging their names through the mud. So you want to be a hypocrite and say people are dragging David's name through the mud when there's 100% proof that he is guilty of this. But you don't have an inkling of evidence or proof that Danny August Mason or Sean Wright or anybody else was in that house at the time that the crimes occurred or at the time that this occurred. But yet you drag their name through the mud. So it's right for you to do that, right? It's right for you to make people look bad and talk shit about them, right? It's right for you to do that. I'm sorry. That's a freaking hypocrite, and that's what you are.
The question is why? And I do believe it has more to do with than just the script, just the story you want to get on the big screen. I think
The movie had nothing to do with what the hell happened. Nothing. Nothing.
something else. But then we have to look at motives. Why was Joseph Seaton back in over in that area? What happened at Fort Hood? What's the Hollywood connection here?
Oh my god. Somebody help me. My brain hurts. Like you oh my god.
So that's all I have for tonight for this. Okay, so I do apologize for those that are like, well, why all the short investigative streams? This new work schedule is kicking my ass. Gaming I can get to just like that. That's just willy-nilly conversations, right? I'm exhausted. Okay, so this next weekend, keep in mind, this is all going to be investigative streams this next weekend. Think like a marathon, if you will, almost. Just give you a ton of...
Oh god, this is gonna be fun. I have videos that I get to pick apart. Yay! this is so ridiculous. Like, put oh god, I can't even explain the ridiculousness in this. Like, I really can't. It's just dumb.
It'll be long streams. We're going to be investigating things. I'm going to do things live. Okay? So, just, oh, let's talk about some things. No, we're going to go and look at things.
Yay! Please, then look at the evidence and show where somebody else's DNA is in that house, please.
Throw questions my way. If I've got something wrong, throw it my way. So we can go and look.
I have.
Because this kind of thing needs to happen. And it's gonna. And I honestly think we are literally, not this year, next year. I was anticipating having this case ready to go this year. I don't think so.
Oh,
It's just because of my time. But next year. But thank you guys for tuning in for our Murder of the Gray State phone records episode. Another one, a little short one. You guys can tune back in if you guys are interested in gaming. Feel free to ask questions too, even during that stream, about this case or any other case. See how I can answer it. I won't have anything in front of me, but feel free to ask. I'll answer to the best of my knowledge. But expect that stream to start in about 10 minutes, and we'll see you guys then.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull up something really quick. Give me just a second here. I'm trying to make sure that I keep one screen up and the other one down. Hold on. Give me a second. Alright, so I'm trying to pull up a picture really quick. Hold on. That I did yesterday. Wish I would have, there it is right here. Okay, so, alright. Now we have here, let me pull this over. So we have, let me transition back. I hate these stupid things. It wants to go on a slow transition thing here. Come on. Go, go, go. Alright, there we go. I think it's up now. Or, no, it's still. Come on. Okay, so here we go. We have here William Rails' foot. All right. And when he posted the video, he said, "This is my right foot." It's a picture of my right foot. Okay. We all know that selfies mirror themselves, right? Like, we all know that it kind of flips the image, correct? So it does. If you put your foot up, it looks like his right foot, right? But if we selfie mirror the image, like if this is a selfie and we unmirror it, let's see what it looks like. Okay, so we flipped the image. I just showed you that I flipped the image. I didn't manipulate it or anything to that thing. I just basically flipped it. So, what are we looking at here? If you didn't know that that was a right foot back here, if he didn't tell you that this was his right foot, and you looked at this picture here without the letters, without this stuff down here, what foot would you say that was? You would say it was a left foot, right? So, William Rail, I'm asking you again for the millionth time. You said this is your right foot. Okay. If I mirror it or unmirror it, I don't know if you took this as a selfie. If you did, you would either mirror it or unmirror it. But can you tell me what foot is this? You said it was your right foot, right? But it looks like your left foot. So, can you answer that? Right foot, unmirror it, left foot. Right foot, left foot. Same thing applies to the same thing applies to the the footprints, or sorry, the picture of David's foot in the crime scene. So when I did that, when I did the when I did that, I basically did the same thing that I just did with William Rail's foot. Hold on, let me find the image that I flipped. So, in the picture, it looks like David's left foot. Okay, so the picture in the Day One Journal looks like David's left foot because of the way he's sitting. The only way I manipulated it was to turn the foot around so that way you could see that it matched up with the thing. But this is the way the foot is in the picture. Okay, it is a selfie image. So if you flip that image around, let me go to my YouTube channel here real quick. If you flip the image around, then you're going to see. I know it's on here. Hold on. right here. If you flip the image around, it's going to be, it looks like his left foot in the picture. It's a selfie image. You're going to unmirror it just like I did William Rails, and it's going to show you that it's his right foot. It is, in fact, his right foot. It is taken, he took a picture of a selfie of his right foot and flipped it around. I flipped it around, and it looked like a left foot. I mean, you just can't deny this. Left or right foot, it doesn't freaking matter. Everybody's feet usually look the same. I mean, if you look at people's feet here, they have the same shape. You see what I mean? Like they're pair. They look the same. You know, you may have a few little odd shapes, but most of the time, see, everyone's feet looks the same. And so to say that that picture with David's footprints and blood, his wife's blood, aren't his, then prove that they're someone else's because it matches up pretty damn well to be somebody else's foot. And I don't think you're going to find another person. You know, it's got to be at least 1,000,000 to 1. I would say maybe 10,000 to 1. Who knows? That has the exact same looking foot shape, the toes, the way they line up. Prove that somebody was in that house that had the same damn footprint that David had. You know what I mean? Like, prove it. Prove that Danny August Mason has the same foot as David, Sean Wright, any of the other people. Prove that they have the same exact damn foot that David had. Or who would be in the house barefoot walking around, anyways? For the love of God. Come on now. Like, can you prove that at all? I really want to know. So that was, one of the biggest things that you were wrong on, William Rail, and I even proved that with your own damn picture. Now here is the other picture when it comes to the bullet that you said we're talking about the month long thing. This is when the bodies were still in the house, and the reason you could tell is because Christmas tree's there, all the pictures are there. So here's the bullet hole right here. So it was there before it was found. It was there. It's right there. I mean, so many things that you can be proven wrong on when it comes to the actual forensics of this case. But you're going to try to get the case reopened with a journal and some frickin' phone call records. That's what you're going to get the call, or you're going to get the case reopened with. But you're not going to use any of the actual evidence that was at the actual crime scene. We have Kathy's version of the multiple blunt force trauma. We have this crap that Kathy sent over to the damn police department claiming that Danny Elias Mason had a white dog and blah da 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 da. And she said that these freaking things right here were multiple blunt force trauma. This is the inside of a damn skull. It's the inside. The inside of a skull. This is called meninges. If you're smart, William Rail, then you would know that. Nothing was cut here. Nothing. I mean, it's ridiculous. Oh, I mean, see, my brain hurts because people are ridiculous. Ridiculous. Every single theory that they put was debunked. Debunked. We have, look, here we go. These are called meninges. Right here. Right here. This is all meninges. This is the inside of a skull. I've already did a superimpose on this to prove that it was the exact same thing as the other piece. Right here.
Have our own what we consider the smoking gun. And for me, the smoking gun is the scalp piece, where on the floor where it shows the multiple blunt force trauma on this scalp piece, which is the piece that they say articulated with David's remaining skull. So
Oh my god.
we know that this piece of bone, which was beat and has multiple impressions on it, belonged to David. Now, okay, that in and of itself tells you, okay, he's murdered. However, when you look at the skin around this piece of bone on the scalp, it's straight. There are no rough edges. They are completely straight and smooth, like it was cut. I don't know what else besides something sharp could make a straight edge on a piece of scalp. So that the dog didn't do it, it didn't fall off that way. Somebody removed it. So this to me tells me, why did the police, when as soon as they walk in and they see this piece of evidence on the floor,
better. All right, here we go. So here we have the piece of skull bone that was found at the crime scene, at the scene. This is what it looked like after it was cleaned up and taken to the medical lab. These two are the same pieces. This is the inside of a skull, right? Now, Kathy's smoking hot gun was her go-to catnip for years until I made this video. And now her statement is she didn't say that for sure, even though we just heard her say that for sure a second ago. That's at the crime scene. This one is at the medical lab, or sorry, the coroner's office. And this is me kind of matching them up. They're both at a taken picture at a different angle, so it's hard to match things up when they're taken at a different angle perfectly, but it just shows that they have the same outlines, the same marks. It's the same piece that was found at the scene. It shows that it's the inside of the skull, not the outside. So how do you have multiple blunt force trauma on the inside of a skull? Because we see that it's kind of bowl shaped right here. If you look, like it's inward, like a bowl. So how is that the outside of a skull? Have you ever seen that on the outside of a skull? I haven't. So, and this is just kind of a diagram to show the parietal bone, which is this, and what it looks like. The frayed edges you have right here. And then you have the smooth edge that Kathy says was cut. It's right there. These are meninges, right here. You see the vessels? The grooves. So I'm just kind of showing on the diagram where this all is at as well. So do you see? Smooth edge, same as in the diagram, right here. So I was just trying to kind of explain it without words, the smooth edge here. And this is then where I superimpose them both together for the last time so that way you can see that they are the same exact piece. And it proves that it is the inside of the skull, not the outside, because it is that bowl shaped right here. Now, if it was the outside, it'd be flipped over and like the bowl shape would be pointing downwards toward the toward the table. So you see here, you have this straight edge here, kind of comes up and goes around, then up to this point here. I mean, you just you can't deny that. So why the nonsense continues, I'm just I don't know. I don't understand. But that's the kind of stuff, William Rell, that you're going to have to prove with. You can't prove with the nonsense that you just put up. You have to prove with the evidence. You have to prove it with the evidence. You have to prove it with forensics and things like that. You can't just prove it with phone calls and journals because we can look back at that journal, and that journal has a lot of stuff in it that's very incriminating, but you don't read any of that. Like him calling his daughter a pink shit and a cyst. Like, that's the kind of stuff that you never read.
It sounds like or it sounds like E. Come and see the letter E. It's
The letter E, which was claimed to be the murderer of the family, wrote this big E on the refrigerator, but this is David's movie wall that he wrote. Sticky notes he's standing in front of in the documentary.
Sounds like.
So you can't deny that.
Say yes to S. So many super letters. S is one of the best you got.
We have the submit to Allah on the notepad, and then we have the supreme ordeal on David's sticky note movie wall that he's standing in front of on the documentary.
Shout it and sing it, you're sure to have success. Say yes to S. Say yes. Squids and squirrels and saucy spaghetti.
So, I mean, so much stuff here. And for William Rell's comment regarding the dog. After the soft tissue and everything breaks down, what is holding these bones together right here to the body? If they're mummified and there's no soft, the tissue is breaking down, the cells are breaking down. What is holding these bones together? Nothing. So that's why it was so easy for the dog to pull this stuff off, because there's nothing after the body decomposes. You don't have any blood flow to that tissue, and so these parts just, they fall off. That's just like if you I worked in a hospital with older patients that died of like cancer, and it was the oncology floor basically. And we kind of had to wait sometimes until the family got there. And so there were times that, when you tried to pick up the patient, that the skin would just fall off their backs, and they had only been there for a few hours. And so um, there's nothing holding anything together after you die, basically. I mean, it's you could pull anything off after everything decomposes. And so you have, the dog in the house that is trying to survive. And so that's what happens. I mean, there's nothing holding that body together after you die. After the flesh is rotted away, there's nothing holding that together. Go, like, cook a chicken, okay? Or leave a chicken out, however you want to do it. Leave a chicken out and let it sit for 3 weeks. And then take a dog and see if the dog can pull the thing apart. It's the same thing. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and end this live because I gotta do some stuff with the kids. And I gotta get ready to put my turkey in the oven because I usually cook it overnight. So I need to, like, get all that together and stuff. But anyways, you guys take care. And I will see you in the next video. Make sure you like and subscribe. And we'll see y'all later.